If you are unaware, a very important event just took place. This is because a certain fellow by the name of Zohran Mamdani won the democratic election for the city of New York. Mamdani is quite different from the typical politician of the Democratic Party. A self-described democratic socialist, in terms of economy, Mamdani is quite to the left than the current Democratic Party establishment. If you are only familiar with American politics, then it's quite typical to think that the Democrat are a left-wing party and the Republican are a right-wing party. But if you compare the Democratic Party on a global scale, then their economic position is really not that much left-wing. For a long time, economically speaking, Democrats and Republicans were really not that much different. They were both heavily catering to the interest of big corporations over the interest of the common people. But Donald Trump has moved the Republican Party significantly more to the right, both socially in terms of economics. Economically speaking, the Trump administration is a fucking gangster capitalism, getting out as much as possible from the public sector and enriching a very few already rich as fuck individuals. But while the Republicans has moved way more to the right, the Democratic Party has pretty much stayed on the center right. They've always been outsider to the Democratic Party. People who are way more left-wing on economics, people like AOC and Bernie Sanders. But these people are constantly attacked for diverging from the mainstream of the Democratic establishment. At best, they are called overly naive people who don't understand real economic. At worst, they're lambasted as crazy Marxist, communist, Maoists who are going to transform the United States as the Soviet Union 2.0. Even though most of them argue for basic shit that other countries have, like universal healthcare. But now that the Trump administration is doing all of these illegal, unconstitutional shit that make Trump approval rating tank like crazy, you would think that it would mean a crazy amount of support would flock to the Democratic Party, but that's not actually the case. The Democratic Party is not popular at all. That's because the Democratic establishment has been complete spineless cowards when it comes to stopping Donald Trump madness, just putting barely minimum effort to resist against the White House. But now that the Democratic mainstream is not looking too hot, more and more people are looking favorably at the outsiders. Enter Mamdani. He ran on a populist left campaign, promising to tackle how fucking insanely expensive it is to live in the Big Apple, promising to make the city affordable for regular Joes without cuddling the nuts of big corpo and landlords. And the thing about Mamdani is that he got pretty much no dirt on him. Like, he's not suffering from a corruption scandal or someone being accused of countless acts of sexual harassment and accused of a corruption scandal. Nah, Mamdani is just a fucking real broski. He just wants to make the lives of regular New Yorkers a little bit easier. But since there's no dirt on him, the smear campaign against him has been nothing but a fucking embarrassment for the human race. First, they want to make it seem like an extremist because he's against ICE raids. What do you mean, Mr. Mamdani? You mean to tell us that you don't like illegal arrestation where you put people in a fucking concentration camp in El Salvador? And ICE being so reckless that they have deported a lot of US citizens. You crazy radical leftist. Then they try to do some reverse psychology on us. They make someone tell some of Mamdani policies with an horrified and discouraged tone to try to trick us into believing that these are not good things.
This candidate, Democratic Socialist, he wants to freeze the rent. He wants city-run grocery stores, social workers to replace the police because that's going to help. He wants $60 billion of debt fund for affordable housing. He wants free buses, no cost for childcare, baby baskets for newborn, and a $30 minimum wage. How can someone vote for this?
He's a snake oil salesman.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my goodness, who would vote for this? This can't be. This is so horrible. There's also this gag that Mamdani will turn New York City into crime-riddled Gotham City.
I don't want to go here, but Gotham. Have you seen what Batman is up against in Gotham and what the guy running for mayor is up against? That's what it reminds me of. They're taking Wall Streeters and make him walk out onto the ice in the East River as and hope, and then they fall through. Yep. I mean, there is a class warfare that's going.
I think it's real funny imagining people watching a Batman movie and they see how fucked up Gotham City is. And in their head, they're like, that must be because the minimum wage is too high. Yeah, man, Joker had taken control of all the city criminal underworld after the insanely destructive policy of baby baskets for newborns. But by far the worst smear campaign against him has been to portray his position on the Israel and Palestinian conflict. First off, who fucking cares? And I don't mean that no one should bother taking an interest on what's happening with Israel and Palestine, but this man is running to be mayor of a city. Why the fuck does it matter so much on something happening overseas? But Mamdani being Muslim, they just can't fucking help themselves, do they, huh? The most right-winger calling him a borderline ISIS sleep agent?
And people say, well, it's irrelevant that he's Muslim. Well, you said it best. He wants to globalize the intifada. And by the way, that just means globalized terrorism. He is the first mayoral candidate of any significance to say that he supports sanctions of Israel.
Jesus Christ. Mamdani is the reincarnation of Bin Laden. The more centrist just constantly asking his position on Israel, even hinting at him being an anti-Semite, just because he's not a fan of an apartheid state who is committing a genocide. But my boy Mamdani is able to give the most correct answer in the history of correct answers.
Do you support Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state?
I support Israel's right to exist as a state with equal rights. I believe that every state...
Why not as a Jewish state?
Because I'm not comfortable supporting any state that has a hierarchy of citizenship on the basis of religion or anything else. I think that in the way that we have in this country, equality should be enshrined in every country in the world. That's my belief.
And the smear campaign against him will continue, since he's technically not the mayor of New York yet. But I am so glad that so far most New Yorkers did not buy into it. Now, you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but I'm not a New Yorker, so why should I care about that? Well, Mamdani winning in New York City is a big deal, since New York is the richest city in America and the city with the most billionaires in the world. It's very clear that the very rich of New York has put in a lot of effort in capital to not let Mamdani win. But despite this, they have failed. This means that real left-wing populism, someone talking about the economic issue that are facing most Americans and pledging to fix it, even if it makes some rich people piss in their pants. That could be the new dominant ideology of the Democratic Party. The weakness that the Republican Party are exploiting against the Democrat is how much inauthentic and out of touch the mainstream Democratic politicians are. And they're not wrong. The mainstream Democratic politicians are in fact inauthentic and out of touch neoliberal. Mind you, the Republican politicians are not exactly better, in fact being more fucking worse in every way, but at least with Trump, he has at least the charisma to make some Americans believe that he is looking for the benefit of regular people. Which is funny to think that a complete megalomaniac born with a silver spoon in his mouth, which is wealth, has always gotten him out of trouble. And now he is quite literally robbing the American people blind just to make himself and a bunch of other rich people even more rich. Yeah, I'm sure that guy will look after me. But if Mamdani winning is an indicator that the Democratic Party can change for the better in the future, then the Republicans are indeed fucking shit. You see, left-wing populism has a very hard time getting through, since it has no support and downright hostility from the mega rich. Which is pretty obvious, since left-wing populism are the most critical towards the people with the most money and the most power. But Mamdani has proven that it's not impossible. While it is very hard, once left-wing populism get enough momentum, then it becomes an unstoppable force, or force even the very wealthy of New York cannot stop. And if the Democratic Party can get rid of the old neoliberal establishment and instead embrace left-wing populism, then with the very unpopular Trump administration, the Democrats are guaranteed a crushing victory, and at least all the suffering caused by Trump would not have been for nothing.